All right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. The conversation begins right now at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. We'd like to hear your views and everything that we talk about here this morning. One of the biggest one is a storm over impeachment claims. But let me introduce my guest real quick. Honorable Caleb Kositany, Member of Parliament for Soy and now Governor Aspirant for Uasin Gishu, is joining us online. Thank you so much for making time. Honorable Pio Wandai is here with us, Member of Parliament for Ugunja, is defending his seat. Thank you so much for making time. Honorable John Kagushi is also here with us, Speaker Nyeri, and now an aspirant for Mkuruweni, Member of Parliament. Thank you so much for making time. And we're still waiting for Honorable Priscilla Nyokavi, former woman rep Nyeri. As soon as she comes in, we'll rope her into the discussion. Let's get straight into it. The front page of the Daily Nation is really what everyone is talking about. Storm over Uhuru impeachment claims. This is what the Deputy President himself had to say in reaction to that impeachment claim that came through. Listen.
Mimi ndio nilisaidia Uhuru Kenyatta. Kuweni na heshima kidogo. Hata kama hamutaki kuniunga mkono, wacheni porojo na propaganda ya bure. Wacheni kugawanya wa Kenya. Ati William Ruto anaweza kupindua mtu ambaye nilimweka kwenye ofisi? Please.
Honorable Kositany, let me start with you on this one. Throughout your time in Parliament, was there at any given point a discussion around the impeachment of the president?
Trevor, this is one of the biggest jokes I've ever had in my 55 years. By the way, it was my birthday on Saturday, my 55th.
Happy birthday, Mwesh.
Thank you. I'm actually not shocked by the claims by the president. It's just a laughable thing because what we know is there were talks of impeaching the deputy president. But there was never, ever, let alone even the thought or a dream of us or the deputy president impeaching the president. And even if they were, I would be amongst the people who would have been in the planning and execution team to see how it would sail through in Parliament. So I think the president should look for something else to try and tell Kenyans why he is not supporting William Ruto or why they fell out. But it's very wrong when the head of state tells a lie. And a white lie at that just because of political expediency. It's actually very sad, and I think that our president can do better. In fact, the president should apologize to the nation for making that statement. And that is if he made that statement, because I've not seen any clip. I've not seen anywhere where he made that statement. So I've given him the benefit of doubt. And he should come out clean and say, I did not make that statement. Maybe somebody misquoted me. But William Ruto is not the type of person to fight his battles through impeachment or destabilize the government. He knows where to fight his battles. He has fought them well. And that is why he's a front runner in the coming elections.
Has William Ruto been trying to outshine the master, Honorable Kositany?
Trevor, you know what we did and what William Ruto and his team, who me included, did for President Uhuru in 2017, twice in that repeat election and the earlier one, was we were doing it for ourselves and we were also doing it for President Uhuru. And because the president was a busy person, we would plan 6-7 rallies in a day. We would start the rallies very early with William Ruto. Once we are on the 5th rally, then it's when the president would join us. Yet he was the one who was running for the presidency. He should have been at the first rally to the last rally. But William Ruto was so committed to this cause. And I don't think at any one time has it ever crossed William to outshine the boss. William has been saying, that is my boss. I respect my boss. He is my boss. He is my boss. He is my boss. He is my friend. And I think that is where William Ruto has been all along. And, you know, Trevor, I need to say this, and I've always said this, and I've said this here earlier. At no single time did we support Uhuru conditionally. Did we give Uhuru any condition for us to support him? Neither did William Ruto tell Uhuru, I will support you, then you will support me. It was never an agreement. It was never a must. We didn't even expect it. William Ruto never even sat down one day and said, let me depend on Uhuru's support. William Ruto has been a go-getter. He has been hustling from the bottom. He's been a person who has worked his way up. So he knew that for me, I need to work hard to gain acceptability, to gain likability within other communities in Kenya, and I think he has achieved that. Okay. So the president is within his right to support a person of his liking, and he has chosen Raila Odinga. But bringing in these lies and the intimidation and the hatred that we have seen is not good on the line of the president. I think the president should just accept Kenyans are intelligent enough to make up their decisions, and he should accept the reality that it's going to be a UDA government coming in.
Okay, let me bring in Opio and Dayo on this. Opio, did you ever hear in the corridors of Parliament any conversation around impeaching the president?
You know, first and foremost, Honorable Kosetany is a newcomer in Parliament. We are not sure when these impeachment plots were being hatched, maybe in the last Parliament or this one. And Kosetany, you know, joined Parliament just this time. So he may not be privy to what was happening then. And even now, because he's a low-ranking operative in the former Jubilee circles. But there are two fallacies in the statement that was made by the Deputy President yesterday in Coast. I think it was Malindi. One of them is that he is the one who put President Uhuru Kenyatta in power. That statement cannot be correct. He might have contributed, just like any other member of President Uhuru's party or coalition. But he is not the sole person who put Uhuru into power. Second one is that since he participated, or since he put Uhuru in power, he cannot turn around and wish to overthrow him. We know what happens. The track record of power-hungry, power-thirsty individuals in the mold of Ruto. What they have done in history. In fact, the first aspect in any plot to overthrow a president or somebody holding power is the deputy. And if you have a deputy in the like of William Ruto, then you must be very afraid. And therefore, even though I'm not sure of the veracity of the claims about impeachment or of a coup d'etat, I cannot in any way discount the possibility that such plots could have been there, hatched by none other than William Ruto. Because William Ruto, throughout his record in politics, up to yesterday, is such that a person who is always in a hurry to take over power. And he seems not to be satisfied with whatever little power he gets or is given, either by the Constitution or somebody in authority. He seems to crave for ultimate power for whatever it takes. And therefore, as a Kenyan, I'm happy that slowly now we are beginning to get to know, really, where the rain started beating Uhuru and Ruto in their relationship. It seems that there is much more to it than meets the eye. Apparently, the fallout happened as a result of these schemes, these very devious schemes by the Ruto to overthrow the president. So those are very serious claims that need to be investigated and action taken. You know what happens to coup plotters all over the world, Trevor? Yes, and the president, even though I haven't worked with him closely as a politician, the president, for the time I've known him, is not one who is used to making, who is used to lose stock. I have never known him as somebody who is used to lose stock. It seems there's something he knows, and he's supposed to know, of course, because being the commander-in-chief of the Kenya Defense Forces and the chief executive of the country, he is privy to a lot of intelligence, a lot of information that none of us, including William Ruto, could ever be privy to. And therefore, if at all it is true that President Uhuru Kenyatta expressed his fears that his deputy had plotted to overthrow him, who are we not to believe him, really? But who are we? Yes.
Is your assessment fair, considering that at the point when he was heading to the ICC, he deliberately gave Ruto power? And for some substantive time, Ruto was essentially the sitting president. But when he came back, he handed over the power. Wasn't that his best position to just stick with it?
But let me ask you, did he have any option? That is one. Do you think he was handing over power to Ruto even for 1 day or 2 days happily? He was fighting under very, very unique circumstances. And as you know, difficult situations call for difficult measures. Extraordinary situations demand for extraordinary measures. That was one of them. Secondly, did Ruto have a choice of handing over that power back to President Kenyatta. Once he came back, he had no choice. He had to, given the arrangement under which the power was handed over to him. So, and I think he was also testing him. Now, with the benefit of hindsight, I can say the president was testing his deputy. How can this guy behave when he gets close to power? It has been proven, let me tell you, that for heaven's sake, Kenyans should never even dream or dare trust William Ruto with power.
Why?
You see what is done to his own boss. It's not a common thing for a president to lament or really to cry, literally, about what his deputy is doing to him. And you know, in our case, the deputy president is protected by the Constitution. He can't be sacked. I am sure if it was possible to sack him, Uhuru would have sacked him a long time ago. You see? Okay. And yet he's also used, yet the Ruto is also taking advantage of that very Constitution to cling on to power. Yet, in essence, he had long resigned from power, from government, really. So it's a very big contradiction. Okay. And the deputy president owes Kenyans an explanation rather than ranting in rallies and denying what seems to be obvious. He needs to come out clearly and explain to Kenyans. In fact, he should have gone to record a statement with the DCI. Yes, about this possible attempts to overthrow a legitimately elected government. Oh. Yes.
Well,
what are your thoughts?
I think today Honorable Ajay is actually contradicting himself in every statement he makes. First, he talks about power-hungry Ruto and history about it. But he has no history about a power-hungry Ruto at all. If anything, Ruto is known for being this persuasive, convincing gentleman who has actually been going to the interior of the villages to talk to Kenyans to support his bid. Yeah. And in any case, he used his energy, his eloquence, his ability to express himself for his own campaign and that campaign of President Kenyatta. And my good friend here talks about history and power-hungry politicians in Kenya. Desperately power-hungry. And of course, when he describes that situation, you can only place one politician in that kind of an arrangement. Talk of 1982, talk of swearing in at Uhuru Park in 2017. I mean, you can only place one politician in that kind of a mantra. And that cannot be Deputy President Ruto. Now, what I find very interesting is that for the longest time, the president and Odinga have been saying that the reason why the handshake took place was because they wanted to bring Kenyans together. It was because they wanted to bring a new Kenya, a new dawn in this country in terms of unity. But a new twist is now coming that, through this now propaganda, that in fact, the reason why these two are having a handshake in 2018 is not because of unity of Kenyans. It was because the president was under duress. It is because the president was under threat for impeachment, and that's a little bit surprising to any Kenyan. But I would want to put it here that first, the issue of overthrowing and impeaching are two different things. You need to look at the semantics here. The overthrowing is what Raila Odinga tried to do in terms of swearing himself in. Impeachment would be a legal process whereby members of parliament would come together and move a vote of no confidence against the president. Now, you have had Honorable Wandai here. Even though he's trying to dismiss Honorable Kositani that he was not in the first parliament, Honorable Wandai, who has been there, and he bills himself as a senior Azimio or Handshake or ODM politician, who is even a chair of a committee, a very important committee in parliament, but he did not have that information. At no one point did he ever get that information. He's today trying to say maybe it was there, maybe someone whispered to the president, but he was in parliament. He never came across it. He never heard about it. I mean, what we are seeing here really is just a desperate attempt to try and bring a propaganda, to try and maybe put some little brakes on a movement that's taken over this country, that has moved this country in a direction that the president never expected, that has changed the dynamics of politics in this country, that the deputy president, William Samoei Ruto, has gotten so much support from all the villages, from all places in this country. And that is why you're seeing Honorable Wadai here is actually saying the president is crying, he's lamenting. And why did the president really have to put himself into this condition, in this situation, as Honorable Wadai puts it? Why would the president really, Wadai, have to cry and lament publicly to Kenyans? Why would the president be the one to even issue that kind of a propaganda, if at all he did it? Because we have no clip as yet that he did it. We are only being told that he said it. Now, we think maybe the president did not need to put himself onto this kind of a bandwagon. Maybe what he just needed to do was to support his candidate silently and maybe more tactfully, rather than come out so openly and then get so embarrassed and have to really keep on lamenting to Kenyans. I mean, when the president tells Kenyans that, you know, my deputy wanted to impeach me 7 years ago. Seriously speaking, what do you want the people of this country to do? I mean, how should the country now handle itself? When we know very well, in fact, it is the president who have called his deputy a thief many times. But Kenyans have failed to listen to that because they know that's a propaganda. Now, the president has again now called his deputy all manner of names. And this is not selling to our people. So what I would want to say is that this time Kenyans must be able to separate wheat from chaff. They must be able to pick out issues. And clearly we know that the deputy president has supported the president. And you have clearly put it, that the president left power to the deputy president and went abroad. And when he came back, and Honorable Wadai has rightly put it, that the president was testing how his deputy would behave. I mean, the deputy president then passed the test, if at all there was that kind of a test. He passed the test. He handed back power to the president. I mean, whatever way you want to look at it, you can't accuse Honorable Dr. William Samoei Ruto of that kind of malice of either overthrowing, impeaching, or even disrespecting his boss in whichever way.
Let me bring in Honorable Kositany on this. Kositany, how did the deputy president put the president in power, like he puts it?
Trevor, as I said earlier, the deputy president is a workaholic. He actually campaigned as though he was the one running for the seat of the president. I said here earlier that we would plan 6 to 7 rallies in a day, and the president, because of other commitments, would join us at the 5th or 6th rally. He would attend one rally out of the 5 or whatever we had arranged because of other commitments. But the deputy president would say, "Hey, we cannot wait for the boss to arrive. Let us continue." And he would plead with the people to vote in the Jubilee administration, and of course the team of him and President Uhuru Kenyatta. To vote them in. We know, those of us who were there, we know that Ruto held more rallies than President Uhuru Kenyatta, campaigning for President Uhuru Kenyatta. So when you see William Ruto, Opio and I saying that William Ruto is power hungry, William Ruto is not power hungry. William Ruto knows that to get something, you need to work for it. And that is why he held more rallies than President Uhuru in 2013, in 2017, and in 2022, he's now doing it for himself. And he's doing a very good job about it.
So you're convinced absolutely that without the deputy president, the president would not have gotten the ticket, would not have passed?
Absolutely, absolutely. Without the deputy president, maybe ODM would have been lucky to form government. That is a fact. It is known everywhere across the country. And I think the biggest problem that people are having is, how has this William Ruto managed to get likability across the tribes? Because some people are stuck with the tribal inclination thing, and they don't know, how has Ruto gained acceptability in my tribe, and I'm the one losing? That is the biggest problem that some people seem to be having. Remember, Trevor, in 2017, Jubilee managed to get, I think, 8 members of parliament in Western Kenya, which was a serious achievement. It was a very serious achievement. It had never happened before. We won elective seats in 43 counties. Or is it 44 counties? Out of the 47 counties, we had at least an MCA elected under the Jubilee ticket. And all that was the effort of, majorly, the effort of the Deputy President, William Ruto.
Okay, what are your thoughts?
You know, Trevor, it's laughable when you listen to these polemics by my friends. You know, Honorable Kostany is trying to suggest that the winning of an election is clearly dependent on how many rallies you hold. You know, it can't be more prosperous that the more rallies you hold, the more likely that you will win. It's never like that in politics. Uhuru would have been in the background doing a lot much more than what Ruto was doing in the field. But that is their business. I was never in Jubilee, and I've never been in Jubilee. But the question is...
You are now.
The question is that William Ruto needs to come out clearly. And I've heard people say that, was there any evidence that these people were plotting to impeach him? You know, I was in Parliament, even last Parliament. And there were talks then, Trevor, in the corridors. You know, many times people talk in the corridors of Parliament.
Yeah.
Yes, and of course you can't go on record what colleagues tell you in the corridors. There were talks from some of the Ruto MPs trying to test the waters that you guys, if we did initiate such a thing, would you play along? You know, many times they would talk as if they are trying to find out what would be the reaction.
So this was an actual conversation had in Parliament?
Many times. And in the 11th Parliament, not this one, you know, where none of these guys were. I was only there with my friend here, Honorable Priscilla Nyukabi. Yes, who is now going to be the Senator for Nyeri on a Azimio ticket. Yes. So these people need to ask us. Yes, those of us who are in Parliament at the beginning of the Jubilee administration, led by Uhuru and Ruto.
Yeah.
And therefore, it is not empty talk, let me tell you. And the Deputy President must come out. If you can plot to remove your own boss, what can you do with power if ever you get it? You may actually move to change the Constitution. And that is our fear, by the way.
Yeah.
That if ever, in the unlikely event, Ruto gets to power, he's likely to emulate his friend across the border and attempt to change the Constitution to remove the term limit for the president. And we shudder to imagine what would happen to Kenya if Ruto became a life president of this country. Okay. That is something which we cannot allow to happen as Kenyans.
now we're becoming very
I think desperate times calls for desperate comments.
Priscilla's just coming.
You know what is more surprising? What is more surprising about Honorable Wadai's comments is that just a few minutes ago he has totally forgotten what he said. Honorable Wadai here has said that he never had at all
I never said
any comments until now. He came back and raised the issue and said that he has said clearly that he never had such comments in Parliament. Now he wants to revise. He wants to be a bit crafty on air. And you see, Honorable Wadai, the people who are following us on this television, live television, the people who started following us when he started a few minutes ago are still with us. So they are wondering, why is this gentleman mixing himself? So they don't know what Wadai is saying. He is actually confusing our viewers and our listeners. I think, Honorable Wadai, let's be sincere and let's be honest. You see, Honorable His Excellency the Deputy President, if there were talks of impeaching the president before 2017, why on earth did he then go out of his way to campaign for the president? You see, what we also allege here must also be supported by some facts. I mean, His Excellency the Deputy President went all the way to support the president in 2017 and did all that it took to support him and to ensure that they got back to government. I mean, under what circumstances then would the deputy president be plotting to impeach the president and then support him at the same time? And even at the same time, the same president is leaving power to the same deputy president, and the deputy president hands back power to the president.
Fair point.
I mean, really, Honorable Wadai, let's be honest and sincere. We also need to be consistent in our remarks.
Let's bring in Honorable Priscilla Nyukabi here. She's on that parliament. You're the former woman rep for Nyeri. So was there any conversation around impeaching the president?
It's not just a conversation. It's actually the numbers game.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there was, I think that the relationship between the president and the deputy president in the first term was, of course, much better than the second term. But in the second term, the deputy president went all out to get a majority of members of parliament affiliated to himself. not to the Jubilee administration, to himself. And that would worry you, that would scare you. Why is the person getting members of parliament in numbers affiliated to himself? That actually does mean that you're creating ground and you're preparing ground for an impeachment. That is indeed true. And counties like the one that I come from, and I use this chance to announce that I'm back, going on for Senate, suffered a big deal. We had all of our leaders wiped out in that election. Good leaders, you know. We still can't, you know, we've spent these 5 years in a lot of sadness until this election, until Jubilee is back now to the right path. So it is what you do, the environment that you create, the numbers that you pursue, that then makes people a bit afraid of what are you going to use those numbers for. And impeachment is a possibility. But I want to go on to something else that has been in discussion for a long time, that the deputy president helped the president to clinch power. He did not help the president to clinch power. In fact, in coalition politics, he helped himself. to get power, because for 2 million votes, which is what we got in the second round, he gets 50% of government. President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta came onto the table with 6 million votes and the deputy president with 2 million, because in the first round they had 8 million votes. In the second election, they had 7.5 million votes. And 7.5 million votes and the Mount Kenya basket brings in over 5 million, 6 million votes, and the Rift Valley basket brings in 2 million votes. I don't know who's helping who. Is the guy with 6 million or is it the guy with 2 million who's helping the guy with the 6 million? But that is the nature of coalition politics, that we come together to form a coalition to run government. And when that happens and we share the seats 50-50, then the question of who helped who doesn't quite arise, because that's the reason why we formed the coalition government in the first place. One of the things I have loved for our politics is what Mishi, our friend, calls siasa ya zamu. So now, in that Zamu, President Uhuru Kenyatta was with William Ruto. In this Zamu, President Uhuru Kenyatta is with Raila Amolo Odinga. And all of that is for the interest, maybe the interests that were there in 2017 and 2013 have changed. We now have different interests, especially based on devolution. And if our interests are based on devolution, we now have to get a partner who then gives us anchorage on that devolution. And I personally really believe that it is in this coalition of the current season, the 2022 coalition, that gives us the devolution anchorage and the resources to devolution that we need, including in counties like the one that I come from. But all that is progression, is history, is movement, is democracy, is growth. Nothing harmful. Kagushia remains a friend, Caleb is a friend, is a journey of a country.
The deputy president would foster devolution?
I don't think that he will foster devolution. I don't believe that he will foster devolution. That is not his best strength. The deputy president has other strengths. Devolution is not his strength. Devolution is Raila Amolo Odinga's strength. He is the father of devolution in our country. Even we in central Kenya, the reason we have not been together with Baba over the years has been his belief in devolution and our belief then in central government. We are latter-day converts to devolution. Now that we have converted to devolution, we must get the partner of devolution. The deputy president is not. If you were to name leaders who support devolution, you wouldn't put the deputy president on that map. But if you were to say who's the father of devolution in our country, who's the father of our constitution, that is Raila Amolo Odinga. And that is why in his regime, devolution will thrive.
All right, let me bring Kositany on this. Kositany, what is the reaction to what Ruto and I mentioned earlier on, that a Ruto presidency would even think of changing the term limits?
You know, Trevor, Opio, I don't know what he's drunk this morning. I hope maybe he's not running on an empty stomach. Opio has contradicted himself severally. And first, he did not, at the earlier stage, he did not know, or he had not heard about this impeachment motion. But I think he must have been sent a message and told, hey, you must propel this lie and say that you had. But then one would ask yourself, if the president actually knows that, or if it's true, why would you then reappoint William Ruto to be your running mate? If he tried to impeach you in the first term, why would you reappoint me as your running mate? And then, as my good friend Nyokabi has said, that Ruto now worked to get members of parliament. Then that means the president lowered his guard. He was so comfortable with William Ruto, if it is true. But what I know is people ran for elections and lost. The biggest problem with that statement by Nyokabi is that they do not respect the will of the people. You must respect the will of the people. Let us not underestimate the intelligence of the Kenyan voter. And the deputy president has always told us we have a shortage of fools in this country. The other statement that has been made there is that, did Ruto help the president? And Nyokabi has come and says the president had 6 million, Ruto came in with 2 million. Assuming that is true, Did Uhuru win because of the 6 million or the additional 2 million? Minus the 2 million, would Uhuru have won? No. Would he have gotten the 2 million anywhere else? No. Yes. Nobody else wanted to touch Uhuru. Nobody else wanted to work with Uhuru. It's only William Ruto who decided to drop his presidential ambition for the sake of unity, for the sake of getting in a government that would serve the people of Kenya. And he decided to support President Uhuru. All the others, Raila included, were power hungry. And they were saying, no, it is my turn. It's my turn to run. For your information, if there's somebody who is power hungry, Opio and I, it's Raila Odinga. He's been running for presidency since 1997. Any child who was born then is now 20-something years old, and Raila is still running for president. And then it's time for him to cede ground to even Opio and I think, could do a better job running for president under ODM. I hope that doesn't put you in trouble, Opio, with your party. But I think it is wrong. They've tried all sorts of lies. They've tried all sorts of statements. Ruto ni mwizi, or Ruto ni he, Ruto is that. It hasn't worked. Now they have come in with impeachment. I think this is the final one. And then we head for the elections and William Ruto becomes president.
Okay. You can respond to that.
You know, Trevor, first and foremost, there's nothing wrong with running for president whatever number of times. Could even be 10 times, really. What it takes. It doesn't really matter. It's only that it only goes a long way to show that Raila has been active in politics from very early age in his life. Yeah. And the kind of contribution he has made to the development of this country in terms of democracy and so on is immeasurable, really. Yeah. Two is the fact that I need to correct the impression being created by my two colleagues that there's some sort of contradiction. What I said initially, and I still repeat, is that I'm not privy to what could have been discussed in State House about the impeachment plots. Okay? But what I am privy to is that there were talks. And Trevor, when you have confidential talks with colleagues, you don't go about shouting about them or trying to divulge information out to people who are not privy to the talks. You must also respect the principle of confidentiality. And that's why I can never even mention the names of my colleagues who are whispering this to us in the last parliament.
Because they don't exist.
And three is the fact that the president went ahead to have William Ruto as his running mate in 2017, despite those attempts to sabotage him. It's not rocket science. It's really a case of giving one a rope to hang themselves, really. And it has hung himself, politically speaking, as you have seen. Yes, because the true colors of William Ruto have come out very clearly, very, very clearly. And Kenyans are the wiser. It is not far-fetched, Trevor. Because in this world where we live, history is very important. And one's record speaks for itself. Well, the record of Raila Amolo Odinga, and my colleagues here keep on talking about Sujui attempted coups of 1982. There is nowhere that Raila was ever convicted of any attempted coup. Okay? These are just talks. Okay? And there's nowhere Raila committed any treasonable offense when he saw himself as the people's president. That's been proved, yes, in court and otherwise, yes, that was not really a treasonable offense. Okay? I'm sure when you go to law school, you will get to know that once a court acquits someone, and T.J. Kajwang was acquitted of the offense of treason by a competent court of law. Okay? That goes to show that it is now law. It's now law that act did not amount to treason. And my friend, President Mugabe here, can tell you that. Yeah. So I don't think it is right for us to divert attention from the real issues. The real issue here is that William Ruto has been smoked out.
Yeah.
Yes, and Kenyans have gotten wiser, and they'll...
I have to take a quick commercial break, then come back. I know there's a bit of response coming through, and a lot of feedback also coming through at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Daybreak. We'll come back to conclude on this topic and then move on to the rest of the day's conversations. All right, see you in a bit.